hasn't spoken yet. It was a big speech for this particular candidate, who's a sad figure. He said, no, I know what I'm going to say. I said, the person hasn't spoken. Doesn't matter. I hate the person. I'm going to say stiff, horrible, bad speech. I said, supposing it's a good speech, doesn't matter. I'm going to say bad. And I said to myself, that's what actually happens. The media is very dishonest. Unbelievably dishonest. Unbelievably. They're bad. They're bad people. Now, you have some good, and you have, obviously, you have some good ones. And I've met some really good people, media people, in the politician business, in the political business. But you have some unbelievable scum. You really do. God, they are just absolute bad people. And they're so totally dishonest. And this case of this guy leaving my office tell me that he's already written his remarks about this event that hasn't even taken place. And they were horrible. And then I see him later, 2 hours later on television. The speech was horrible. It was stiff. The guy actually did a good job, and I'm hearing what a disaster he was. It's no different. It's no different. And it's very unfair. And it really forces a lot of good people out. People have told me, and I've always heard this, when you're a very successful person, successful even, but if you're really successful, I've always heard from the time I'm a little boy, you cannot run for president. You can't. I never understood. I said, I wonder why that is. But I do understand that. I've done hundreds and hundreds of deals. They never talk about any of the good ones. When you do hundreds of deals, hundreds of transactions, and, obviously most of them are good because I'm worth like many, many billions of dollars. They're good deals. And the only reason I say that is because if they're not, then I shouldn't be the one negotiating with China. And believe me, I will be good. I'm going to be good. But I get a call from this sleazebag reporter a couple of weeks ago. We're doing a story on this. 4 deals. Now, they happen to be 4 not good deals, but I made money on all of them. You know why I made money? Because you see a really good guy when you can make money on bad things. Markets change. Lots of things happen. So I said, Mr. Trump, we're doing a story on Bing, Bing, Bong, and Dat. I said, well, what about the good deals? No, we've decided we don't want to do. Oh, you only want to do, so you're going to take a tiny little percentage, you're going to do sort of. And I said, I made money on all those deals. And it was bad, a lot of bad things. Markets were terrible. Markets crashed. Not my fault. Markets crashed. But I always blame, it's my fault. It's always our fault if we're involved. But I said, I took those deals and I made them really good. And in one case, great. Better than if the market stayed good. Actually better. Does that make sense? I made it better. Called the bank. I did a number on the bank. I'm very proud of myself. I did a lot of, these bankers are not the nicest people in the world. Just don't feel bad. Somebody said, well, you hurt the bank. I said, the bank is vicious. It's headed by one of the most vicious people on Wall Street. Who cares? And that's the way I feel. So they'll do a story, or they did a story. I don't know. I don't even read this stuff anymore. I get so much publicity, I don't even read it. It just morphs. It's like a big morph. But so dishonest. I say, will you do a story about the good deals, which are by the hundreds? No, we're not interested in that. Oh, that's fair. That's nice. You're not interested. So we have a lot of issues. And I tell people, because it's important for the people to know, I talk about the press all the time. I do 2 things. I talk about ratings because I find ratings interesting. They said the other day, why are you always talking about ratings? You're always talking about ratings. Isn't it terrible? Nobody else does. I said, that's because I'm in first place. It's true. It's true. I mean, it's incredible. The other day, most of you saw the debate where they put Trump number 1 and Carson number 2. I'm number 1, he's number 2. It's okay. And you have number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Then you have the guys in the end who, hopefully they get out pretty soon. By the way, that's the other thing. Why are they staying? Why do these people stay? George Pataki, he's got nothing. He was a terrible governor. of New York. He couldn't have been elected dog catcher. He decided not. He couldn't have been. If he ran for dog catcher, he wouldn't have. And he's running for president again and again. Then he didn't even make the child stage 2 days ago. And I hear he's still not quitting. He's got zero chance. And I know him. He was terrible. And you have others. I don't want to insult them. Is it okay if I don't insult them? Lindsey Graham. No. No, Lindsey Graham, he's a senator from South Carolina. He is. Yeah, he talks like a tough guy. You know, the tough guys don't talk like tough guys. You need smarts. The tough guys. A lot of the times, the tough guys, they're the weak ones. But he talks about, we'll go into Syria, and will this, and will that. And we don't want Russia dropping bombs on ISIS. We want to do it ourselves. Oh, great. Great. Genius. He's a genius. Then they say, oh, Lindsey Graham, he knows so much about the military. Look where we are, folks. This is the Lindsey Graham. We lost with Iraq. We lost with Libya. We lost with everything. Where do we have a victory? He's tough. This is the one. He gave me his phone number because he wanted me to make a campaign contribution years ago. And I made the speech. I said, I wonder if this number still works, right? Because he started knocking me. He was perfectly nice. And all of a sudden he realized he was going nowhere. He was in the doghouse in the polls. And all of a sudden I was a bad guy. So I said, let's call him, folks. And they started calling. It was actually quite funny. But he was up on the stage the other day talking about being a tough guy. He's tough, so tough. We'll end up in World War III over Syria. I'm tougher than all of them, believe me. And if we're going to fight, we're going to fight. But it's going to be something important. We're going to end up... We've been in the Middle East for so many years, the longest wars. Afghanistan now is our longest war. And by the way, Afghanistan, of all of them, is probably the place we should have been, maybe in the first place, because you're right next to Pakistan. Pakistan has nuclear weapons, not a good thing. You know that I all said we should never go to Iraq, and I said that in 2003, 2004. I wrote a book, The America We Deserve, where I said in 2000, before the World Trade Center came down, where I said there's a guy named Osama bin Laden in my book, and we better watch him. And I saw him a couple of times on television, and a friend of mine who's in the military told me, bad guy. And they said, bad guy. And I'm writing this book, and I said, there's a guy, Osama bin Laden, and we better do something about him because he's going to go under Iraq, and this is what I said in the book. And 3 years later, the World Trade Center came down with him. And I'll never forget, 2 weeks ago, I'm watching Joe Scarborough, Morning Joe, good show. I don't know if anybody knows, but it's a good show, right? And somebody's saying, you know, Trump actually, and they had the book, they said Trump actually predicted Osama bin Laden would come in and do something very bad, World Trade Center. And he said, yeah, but when did he write it? And they looked, they said 2000. Whoa! He goes, that was before, that's unbelievable. He said that before, he's the only one that predicted it. And I wasn't even in government. I wasn't even in government. And I predicted. Now, who knew this was going to happen? But I would have taken that guy out just based on his threats. Just based on his threats. We got to know where to fight and when to fight. You know, we have stupid people. We have very, very stupid people running our country. Very, very stupid people. And they say Lindsey Graham, the same old stuff, McCain and this one, that one. These guys have been fighting for 20 years. We got nothing. We've got nothing. In Iraq, we spent $2 trillion. Could have rebuilt our country. We spent $2 trillion. We lost thousands of incredible soldiers. We have wounded warrior soldiers all over the place. No arms, no legs. These are the greatest. I love them. They're the greatest. They're much more brave than I am. These are the greatest. The way they live their life. No, they're incredible. I see them working out. They're working out. They're really badly injured, but they're working out. I wouldn't be working out. I'd probably be watching television. Who the hell knows? These people are amazing. So, $2 trillion, right? Thousands of deaths, wounded warriors, all over. We have nothing. We have nothing. Iran is taking over Iraq, second largest oil reserves in the world. Iran is taking over Iraq. So, when it happened with Iraq, I said you shouldn't go in. And a delegation came to see me from the White House because I get, for whatever reason, without PR people, without anything, I don't do it on purpose, for whatever reason, I get a disproportionate amount of publicity. Do you agree? Do you guys agree? Look at these guys. They're still standing. Will you sit down? You people are great. Sit down. Look at him. You must like me to be standing. Look how handsome. He's better looking than his father, much, right? But, so what happens is you look at Iraq, and I said, don't do it. And a delegation comes to see me from the White House that they'd like to, have me cool. I say, but you're making a mistake. You're going to destabilize the whole Middle East. Because you had Iran and Iraq that always fight, right? Years I read about wars. Iran goes 10 feet this way, then 10 feet. They were the same. They were like twins. Same strength. Then Saddam Hussein would use gas, and they'd use gas, and we'd read about it. I said, yeah, but if you do that, you're going to destabilize because you're going to knock the hell out of one, and the other one's going to come in and take it over. It's pretty simple. I mean, you don't have to be a total genius to figure this out, even though I am a genius, okay? So you're going to, right? So they go in, they knock it out. I was very vocal about it. I said, you're making a mistake. And by the way, I'm more militaristic than anybody in this room, just so you understand. I'm going to make our military so strong, so powerful. I'm going to take care of our vets like nobody's ever taken care of our vets. Our vets are being treated horribly. And by that, I mean the wounded warriors also. They're being treated so badly. Our wounded warriors are being treated badly. Our vets, that whole group of people is being treated. I mean, the illegal immigrants are being treated better than our vets in many cases. And that's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. So I said, you're making a mistake. Don't do it. They did it. Okay. So now they're in. I'm building buildings. Okay. I'm building buildings. What do I have to do with this? I hated it. Then I saw what happened. Then it turned out there were no weapons of mass destruction. And you know why we thought there were? Because first of all, we had faulty intelligence because we didn't do that right either. But we thought there were because Saddam Hussein used to say that in order to scare Iran. Makes sense, right? My theory. This is the Trump theory on war. But I'm good at war. I've had a lot of wars of my own. I'm really good at war. I love war in a certain way, but only when we win. We never win. By the way, when was the last time we won a war? We don't win anymore. Our wars are always politically correct. We don't want to win. We don't want to this. So anyway, so we go in, and we have this horrible situation with Iraq, and now it's a total mess. All right, so now we have our president come in. Our great unifier, President Obama. He's going to unify our country, right? Except he turned out to be the great divider. Did you ever see anybody so divisive as this? Did you ever see anybody so divisive? I figured the one thing about him, in all fairness to McCain, it would have been impossible. The place was not doing so well, and he shouldn't have won. Romney should have won. Something happened to Romney. He choked. I always said, he choked. For a month and a half before the election, you didn't even see him. Say what you want about Obama. He was on Jay Leno. He was on David Letterman. He was all over the place. And I said to these people, I was backing Romney. I said, when are you going to go on television? He wouldn't do Hannity. And Hannity's the great. He's a friendly guy. Do Hannity. Sean, he's on your side, I think. I know. Do O'Reilly. Do Greta. Do people. Please go on time. Well, I don't think we need it. I think we have it in the bag. I said, I don't think so. I'm really good at this stuff. I don't think you have it in the bag. But you know what? Even if you do, pretend you don't, because you work harder. Then he announces he's building a 12-car garage in Malibu, California. So remember that fiasco? This is not what people, and the horses, his wife has horses. Anyway, he loses. We should have won. That was one we should have won. We had a failing president. We had a bad economy. Everything was good for us, and he lost. And that's a shame. So you have Obama go in, and Obama makes the announcement that we're leaving Iraq on a certain time. Now, I said, just from a common stance, and I will tell you, the polls have come out on, and I love this stuff. They come out on leadership. I was number one by like everything. Many times. I mean, many times. I don't mean I was up 2 points. I mean, many times. On military, I was up. On terrorism, I was up. Can you believe it? Way up. By many times. By times. Not like 3-9. Like, I don't know, CNN's, you're over there. It's like 38 to a few points. And then, for the economy, it was like beyond belief. The only thing I don't do so well is not everybody loves me. I don't know. And I'm actually a nice person. You know? No, it's true. I mean, my weakness is that people don't know if I'm a nice person. Who the hell cares? We got to straighten out our country. I mean, you could put Jeb in there. You could put this lightweight Marco Rubio in there. Put him in there. He's a lightweight. It's not going to happen. If you do that, it's not going to happen, folks. You're just kidding yourselves. You're just kidding yourselves. We got to bring our country back. We need somebody that can do it strong. A woman came up to me. And said, Mr. Trump, I'm voting for you. You're strong. You're the one I want. But do you think you're nice enough to be president? She said that. I said, you know what? Honestly, ma'am, I don't think this time it's going to matter about niceness. I think it's going to be like I really am competent. I think it's all about competence. It's about leadership. I mean, when I lead by leadership by many times, economy by many times, in the military I lead. And people see that in my book. I said Osama bin Laden. They see that. The president didn't know about Osama bin Laden, but I do, and I'm building buildings in Manhattan. Why do I know about him and military doesn't? And I wrote him in the book. You have to see it. People have gone out to buy that book because nobody believes it. Osama bin Laden, mentioned in the book. I think it's like 2 years before the World Trade Center came down. And I said, this time it's about something special. It's about competence. We got to bring our country back. With all of that debt, with all of the problems, with people wanting to decimate Social Security that people have been paying into for years, and now they want to raise the age, they want to cut the benefit, they want to do everything. With Obamacare, which I will repeal and replace quickly. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. And what people don't know is that Obamacare is phenomenal for the insurance companies. They're making a fortune with it. And you know, the states like Iowa, if I want to have an insurance company in Iowa negotiate on my stuff in Manhattan, in New York, they have artificial lines around every state where people here can't negotiate. They can't come in. Those guys can't come into Iowa and negotiate. So I get these guys, they walk in, how we doing, folks? Well, very few bidders. They get a monopoly. And they're smart. They'd rather have a monopoly here, a monopoly in New York, a monopoly in California, than have to compete all over the country where they have a chance at 50 states plus, right? Because it's smart. They're making a fortune. They were big contributors to Obama and his campaign. Now, think of this. We had a website that cost $5 billion and still doesn't work. But here's what's happening. In 2017, they're going to have to renegotiate the whole Obamacare. You know, it's a disaster. I don't know. You don't hear about it so much because we have so many other problems. No, as a country. The Iran deal is such a disaster. It's all a disaster. We have nothing good happening. Nothing. That's why I call the book Crippled America. There's nothing good. There's nothing good happening. The only thing they point to is, well, we killed Osama bin Laden. Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you. You're the president. You're sitting there. These great guys that we have working between the Navy SEALs and the great people, they call up the president. They say, Mr. President, we have Osama bin Laden. He goes, oh, what should we do? Do you want us to get him, Mr. President, or not? Okay. Pretend anybody in the audience, anybody, including these folks, they're very nice. They don't sit down. They're still standing. They're all excited. I love them. Okay, pretend anybody in the audience is president, right? And these great guys come in. General, Mr. President, we have Osama bin Laden. So we have a choice. We can leave him alone, Mr. President, or we can go and either take him or bomb the hell out of him. Who's going to say leave him alone? Is there anybody that would say it? And that's the only thing they can point to. They say, and that was years ago. It's a long time ago. So he says, take him. And our SEALs did a great job. They did a great job. Brave guys. I met two of them. They're great guys. But who would say don't get him? Would anybody say that? I mean, you say go get him. And then they sit around waiting, and the answer is a good answer. And give him credit. I want to give him credit. But who would say, oh, you have Osama? Let's not get him. Oh, great. I mean, there might be two people in the audience, but those are very weak characters. I'd like them to leave immediately, okay? Those are not my kind of people. So we don't have victories anymore. We just don't have them. So we're going to turn this thing, and we're going to make it so good. But we now need people that are great in office. I'm going to find a general who's so good, who's so mean and so smart. I don't want just mean. I want mean and smart. You know, I know a lot of tough guys, but they're stupid. We don't need tough, stupid people. Those are the worst, actually. The worst guys are the tough, stupid people and people. No, I need tough and mean and really, really smart, like General Douglas MacArthur. General MacArthur was the #1 student in the history of West Point, had the highest grades in the history of West Point. And he was a great general. And he had the image. He'd get off the thing, you know, the plane with the corncob pipe and the hat. He loved it. But now we have television people. They always go on television, our generals. I talk about this all the time because I can't believe it. Why is a general on television? Because he's giving signals to the enemy. We have a certain general on television about 2 months ago. And he's talking about how ill-prepared we are. That we've never been so ill-prepared. And the announcer asks, you know, it's a show. And I'm saying to myself, I don't want him. I don't want him talking. Don't say it. Don't talk. Can you imagine the great General Patton sitting on a television talk show? General, these guys are spinning in his grave. So I watch this guy talking. How do you think we could do about ISIS? Can we win? I don't know. They're very tough. They're very tough. They're elusive. I don't know what we do. I say, oh, God. No wonder they're so emboldened. No wonder they feel so... You know, it's like, I've heard different accounts, from 40 to 60,000 people. Good fighters, ISIS. Good fighters. Smart. Good. And I said, they asked me, so I'm running for president. I'm leading in almost all the polls. And they asked me a question about ISIS. And I say to the announcer, I don't really want to answer it. And the next day, these idiots over here say, Trump doesn't know the answer. The reason I don't want to answer, because I don't want to tell the enemy. If I win, I don't want to have to. Does that make sense? I don't want to tell them. So, 2 weeks go by, and I get the question again. How would you fight ISIS, Mr. Trump, if you're president? I said, do I have to answer it? Do I have to? They said, Mr. Trump, we really think it's appropriate. And I did too, because I was getting killed in the press saying I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me. I said, all right, so here's what I do. I hated to do it. Oh, I hated to do it. Because I think I'm going to win. And I don't want these guys. No, I don't want these guys. Because my life has been about victories, in all fairness, okay? It's been about victories. I've had a lot of victories. I'm not like a person that enjoys. You know, you have a lot of people that like to lose, you know. They like to lose. They feel comfortable losing. That's not me. I don't feel too good when I lose. But I said, I don't want to really tell you. But then I realized I had to, because I was getting killed by these people. They said, Trump doesn't have a plan for ISIS. I said, no, I have a plan, but I don't want to tell ISIS what it is. because I might win. I had to. I said to my wife, I said, you know, I got to tell him about this plan. I'm going to have no choice because otherwise I'm not going to win. People are thinking like I don't have a plan. I hate doing it. So I'm on one of the shows, and I said, look, ISIS is making a tremendous amount of money because they have certain oil camps, right? They have certain areas of oil that they took away. They have some in Syria, some in Iraq. I would bomb the shit out of them. I would just bomb those suckers. And that's right. I'd blow up the pipes. I'd blow up the refinery. I'd blow up every single inch. There would be nothing left. And you know what? You'll get Exxon to come in there and in 2 months. You ever see these guys, how good they are, the great oil companies? They'll rebuild that sucker brand new. It'll be beautiful. And I'd ring it, and I'd take the oil. And I said, I'll take the oil. ISIS is making millions of dollars a week. Millions of dollars with oil. Now, they're also getting money from Saudi Arabia. Can you believe it? They're getting money from other people. They're getting money through the various banking systems in the Middle East, which are very complex systems. Very, very, I study banking systems. I mean, who's taken advantage of banks more than I have? I'm a professional. Nobody. I love banks. They're the greatest. But you know what? ISIS is making a fortune on the oil. So I said, oh, and I hated to do it. I actually did it low-key because I just hated to do it. Does that make sense to anybody here? I hated to do it. And I said, that's what I do. I'd bomb the hell out of them. I'd then get Exxon, or I'd bid it out. I'd bid it out. You get this one, you get this one, you get this one. They'll rebuild it so fast. They're incredible what they can do. It really is amazing. And it'll be brand new, beautiful, and I'd ring it. The soldiers wouldn't be in danger. I'd ring it. I want to protect it. And we'll take the oil forever. When we left Iraq, I said, take the oil. Everyone said, oh, that's terrible. That's a sovereign country. They're a bunch of thieves, these guys. They were taking millions and millions in cash and putting it in their pockets. We were delivering satchels of cash there in Afghanistan. It's out of control. They deceived us because they didn't take care of the Kurds. They didn't take care of the whole thing. ISIS formed because these people were not allowed to partake in God. That's where ISIS came from. It came out of Iraq. And ISIS turned out to be a hell of a lot tougher than the guys running Iraq. But this is where it all started. What we have created is unbelievable. So now you have Obama, and he's in. And I don't blame him for that, but I blame him for the way he got out. Because he said, we are leaving on a certain date. Do you remember when he announced the date? And everyone said, oh, the enemy's not as strong as they were, in the meantime. The enemy's not as strong as they once were. They're strong. They said, why the hell should we fight? You may think that they want to go to wherever they go. They really don't, if they can avoid it. So they pull back. They say, this schmuck is going to leave on a certain date. What do we have to kill ourselves for? So what happens is we leave and they go in and do all the damage that they're doing. You saw what happened today. Massive bombs all over the place in Iraq. You saw that, right? I see everybody shaking their head. Terrible. It's a carnage. But Obama said, we are leaving on X date. Gave the date. Now I'm sitting there and I say, what? That's stupid to do because the enemy's going to pull back, wait for the date, we'll leave, and they'll go do whatever. And this is what happened. And that's why Iraq is negotiating with Iran, and that's why Iraq is negotiating with Russia now. Because we pulled out. Now, I didn't want to go in, but we should have left our 20,000 soldiers there. Because we could have stopped a lot of the stuff that's happening now. And then you have Libya under the great Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's the worst Secretary of State. Probably Kerry might go down as worst because, honestly, Kerry made the Iran deal. He may be the best thing that ever happened to Hillary. He made the most incompetent deal I've ever seen. But Hillary, think of Hillary. Every single thing that she touched turned to garbage. The entire Middle East in her reign and the reign of Barack Obama went to hell. Libya, look at Benghazi, an offshoot. But Libya. And now what we're doing is people are saying, and again, remember, very militaristic guy, very militaristic. But you have people, and you have Assad, and then you have the rebels. How many times have we been backing rebels to find out that they're always worse than the guy that's in there? Right? All the time. So now we have the rebels. We're giving them hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stuff. Russia, because Putin has no respect for Obama. I don't know if you saw him the other night on 60 Minutes with me. We were stablemates, right? He was on, I was on, same time. We got very good ratings that night. I'm taking credit for the ratings. But on 60 Minutes, it was great. But he has no respect for Obama, so he starts bombing, to which I say, that's not so bad. Now, they just blew up his airplane. I assume that was probably a bomb. ISIS actually took credit for it. I think they probably did because they found a timer in it today. Did you know that they find a timer for the bomb today? That's usually an indication that there was a bomb, right? They have a timer. And they announced a long time ago, a while ago, that they blew it up. So he can't be a friend of ISIS. This was a Russian plane. They can't be a friend of ISIS. So if Putin wants to bomb, I say, go ahead, bomb. And we can bomb too. We got to stop ISIS for a different reason. We can't allow people to cut off people's heads. We can't do it. No, we got to beat them so badly because we can. If Russia wants to bomb, I say that's great. And we don't want to get stuck in a quagmire in Syria. You know, we're in a quagmire. We were in a quagmire in Afghanistan and we're in a quagmire like you never saw in Iraq, but now we're out. But essentially what we did is all those lives, all that money, all that everything, just so horrible. But it was a quagmire. Would everyone agree? You know, just a total quagmire. And now we have another potential quagmire. And Putin likes Assad, and Assad's a bad guy. But the rebels might be worse. In fact, a lot of people think that the rebels that we're backing is ISIS. And people are saying they're ISIS. So I come out and I say, listen, why are we giving all of this equipment to these people that we don't know who they are? I spoke to a general 2 weeks ago. He's a great guy, very familiar with the situation. I said, what do you think of the rebels? He said, Mr. Trump, we really don't know who they are, sir. I said, oh, that's great. Now I feel better. What the hell are we doing? We have to rebuild our country. We have to put money into our country. Our bridges are falling down. 60% of our bridges are in danger. They're in danger. They're in bad shape. Our roadways, our highways, our schools. In Afghanistan, we build a school, they blow it up. We build it again, they blow it up. We build it again. So far, they haven't blown it up, but it's going to blow up. But we can't build a school in Iowa. We can't build a school in Brooklyn, New York. We can't build a school in New Hampshire. We can't take care of our vets. We can't have hospitals for our vets. We don't have any money to do anything for ourselves. At what point do we get smart? And I say by us building up the military. Somebody said, oh, you're going to spend a lot of money on military. I said, yeah, I'm going to spend money. That's the greatest investment we can make because the world wants to kill us. And if we go strong, really strong, nobody's going to mess with us, folks. It's going to be cheap. It's so cheap. It's going to be so inexpensive to build up our military compared to where they think we're weak. We've got to be so strong. And I say it all the time. We've got to be so strong, so powerful, so advanced